How's it going, everybody? Wherever you listen to this podcast right here, this is episode 138 of the TempahZone podcast with your host, me, Amir Max, and that's all facts. And ladies and gentlemen, my special guest in the Zoom building, coming all the way from the west side of France.
Yes, sir.
Definitely the furthest away I've ever had to speak to a guest on the TempahZone podcast, ladies and gentlemen. I can definitely say that, man. This guy right here is a beast of a producer. He is also a podcast host, and he's just constantly working, constantly posting. Is something that is just really dope to see. Ladies and gentlemen, I got DJ King Flow in the Zoom building.
Yes, what sir. Up? Yes, sir. How you doing, man?
Hey, yo, man, I'm doing great, man. I can't complain. You know, it's going well. How you say it in French? Bon, good, doing bon.
Bon, c'est très bon.
Très bon. Okay. I was telling DJ King Flow before we started that I took French 1 through 4 in college, but it did not. I can read it. Like if someone like gave me some French and read it, I could probably do that. But if you were to speak French at me right now, bro, I'd be like, oui, just say something.
Oui. Yeah, you know, it's all about opportunities, you know, because you didn't have the chance, you know, to practice it. But you know, everybody can be good at learning a new language.
Yeah, no, definitely. I totally, you know, I never say never with learning stuff. You know, being in Boston, I definitely feel like learning Spanish would be more useful. But I would love to learn French as well, man. It's, you know, but I like the music. I'll listen to. I've definitely heard some dope French music that I'm like, oh, this is pretty.
You know, France is the number 2 country after the US for hip hop. You know, in terms of sales and all that.
Really, I didn't know that. You would think it's like,
because it's like, you know, it's not only France, it's all the countries that actually speak French, you know, like Quebec and Canada, you know, Belgium, some parts of Africa, you know, Switzerland too, you know what I'm saying? A lot of places where they speak French, so you know it's huge.
Yeah, you know, that totally makes sense. And just seeing like from, you know, what I've, you know, heard with even like UK drill, they'll get like French artists you know, to work with as well. So it doesn't surprise me like that's the case, but I don't know why I assumed it would be like somewhere like Spanish, but now I think about it, you know, it makes sense as France. There's a lot of French speaking countries as well as Spanish speaking countries. So
true.
Yeah, man.
More Spanish than French, but yeah.
yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, definitely. That is definitely true. But you know, just as a general question, man, what is I guess the French rapping scene like? You know, is it something that you've seen progressively grow? Is this the peak of it? Like from your viewpoint, what would you say about that scene right now for the American listeners who aren't aware?
You know, I think it's pretty, you know, it's big, man. You know, we got many different genres of hip hop, you know, kind of like the States, you know. We have the big drillers, trappers, and also we have the lyricist guys. You know, it's very wide, you know, and very popular. If you look at the numbers on YouTube, you know, you'll see hundreds of millions of views, you know, shit like that. And it's been going on since like I'd say the end of the 80s in France. You know, hip hop, and it, you know, it was big back in the days too, and it's still growing now. As we see, you know, worldwide, you know, we see young people still listening to it. It's the number 1 genre right now in the world. So, you know, it's big out here, man. Shit is popping, bro.
Yeah, nah, I believe you, man. Nah, and it definitely seems like it. You know, I don't know if it's just the times that change, but I feel like there's more genres bleeding into the mainstream that are not English, at least in, you know, this is from an American standpoint, you know, and you're now seeing more Spanish. You're seeing stuff from Korea. You're seeing stuff from France as well, and it's starting to bleed through. And I think people are more, and even, you know, with Nigeria, you know, so it's starting to get more open, and people are starting to be more culturally open to stuff. Because I feel like in America it wasn't the case for a long time, you know. Yeah.
Okay. Well, from us, you know, as Europeans, we see Americans as more like open-minded people, you know. And when we see, like, for example, we see like Drake or, you know, Justin Bieber, they're not even from the US, you know, they're from Canada. And you guys are giving them the chance, you know, to be on a big platform and be heard by, you know, the whole country. So, you know.
No, that's a very big big point right there. You know, yeah, and even like you know, them being from Canada, like we're cool with that. You know, Canada's like the neighbor, so we just kind of let Canada rock with all the U.S. stuff too. So yeah, you know.
It's worldwide now. You know, I like to see like singers like, you know, Ed Sheeran, for example. You know, he's from the UK, he's a pop singer, but he does collabs, you know, with hip hop artists from the US. He recently did some shit with Papoose, you know, for example. So, you know, hip hop is worldwide, man. It has no barriers. Sometimes the language can be a barrier, but you know, all we need is subtitles. Nigga.
Yeah, exactly. And then sometimes things are just the vibe. Like if the flow's tight and the dude has a cool, or the person has a good rapping voice, that's all I need. Like I can just bop to that, maybe, you know, get a translation, and then boom, I can, you know, have some sort of generalization. Yeah, so it's not that, you know, crazy. Who would you say is the? And I hate to do comparisons here, but who is like the Jay-Z of French rap? Like someone who's like comes from the older time, who's kind of had longevity in their career. Just for people like who are like wondering who's that rapper from that scene.
It will be a guy named Booba.
Okay.
Booba.
Okay. Gotcha.
It's been hot since 1997, 96, if I'm not mistaken, until now, bro. Shit is crazy. Like it's been on top from 1997 to now.
Damn.
Crazy.
Yeah.
That's what I've been telling, you know, with sometimes, you know, with hip hop discussions with the homies. That's what I've been telling. I never seen any MC from any country be on top from 1997 to 2023. Even Jay-Z, you know, he had the ups and downs. You feel me?
For sure. Yeah.
But this guy right here never had no downs, bro. Always been on top. That's amazing to me. You know?
Yeah. No, that's absolutely crazy. Yeah, just to have that type of reign, you know. And I mean, I definitely have to get hip to that after this episode. I'm gonna definitely check out and get familiar. Because there's definitely some French artists that I definitely, you know, be keeping up with, and when it comes on, I definitely let it play. But you know, I gotta dig into it more.
And have you seen Cyril Gann against John Jones?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You heard the music that was playing when Cyril Gann got into the ring? That was French hip hop right there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay, yeah. I remember when I heard it, I was like, I could tell it was French. So yeah, and I'm not surprised he'd come out to that, you know, and represent. So yeah, that's dope, man. That's really dope to hear, man. But yeah, man, let me ask about DJ King Flow here, man. You know, I definitely had to ask about the French scene. I love, you know, becoming more aware of what's going on, you know, outside of the US and seeing, you know, what's going on around the world, because hip hop's buzzing in a worldwide way I've never seen. But I feel like, you know, in terms of you, man, just let's talk about just this, you're producing and what got you into that, man. Because when I hear how you be chopping up samples and just, you know, posting as consistently as you are, it's very clear to see that, you know, you've got your reps in with it. So talk about that and what got you into it.
Shit, man, you know, I've been doing this for a while. You know, I'm 29 years old now, and started making beats when I was 9, bro, 20 years ago.
Wow.
I stole a computer program to make beats from my cousin when I was like 9 years old. I stole that shit from him. That's bad. Don't do that.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I started making beats with that. It was called EJ beat making, some shit like that. You know, back in the days, program on the computer. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So I started with that, and you know, then came the MySpace days. You know, I was always passionate about it. You know, I kind of dedicated my whole life to it because I never stopped. You know, even since I started making beats when I was 9, I never stopped. You know, so then came the MySpace era, and you know, posting beats on there, linking up with MCs, and you know, I always like to use you know, samples, soul samples, and all that. So I was trying to look for MCs, and I found MCs, you know, from New York, a guy named Rap Pete from Queensbridge, New York. You know, and he was the first one to rap on my beats. I was like 13 years old. Then a year later, I worked with an artist named K Sparks. He signed me to his label when I was 14 years old.
Oh, wow.
Then I worked with him for a couple of years. Then came when I was 18 years old, you know, I finally was able to travel by myself to the States to meet those people, you know, that I was working with.
Yeah.
You know, I traveled, did my thing, and that's all I did, you know. I stayed 3 months every time. So I went to the States, you know, stayed 3 months. go back to France, go back to the States again for 3 months. That's all I did. At the
Wow.
same time, building my name, shit like that. So I dedicated my whole life to this shit, man.
Wow. And was there any point when you were doing all that, you were like, man, I should just live in New York, like instead of the back and forth? Because that's a lot of traveling, and I mean, I know you
Yeah.
were taking breaks in between, but was there any point in time where you're just like, man, let me just settle in NYC?
Well, the point is coming right now, actually, because I was too young and not experienced enough, to
Yeah.
be able to stay out there. And you know how people be in this industry, man. They got big egos, and you're a young dude from France. They're gonna try it, say also you in some kind of way. So I needed to grow up, learn the hard way, feel me, ups and downs and shit.
Yeah.
And now I'm ready to do that. Now that I got better at making beats because I wasn't only making beats, I was doing a lot of mixtapes too. The name is DJ King Flow. So you see the head Mixtape Addict.
Oh yeah.
And I've been doing this, I've been doing mixtapes since I started. Like I told you, I started when I was 9 years old. I think I started doing mixtape. I was like 12, 13, some shit like that. So, I built my name on that, doing mixtapes on the side so I can get my name up. And then when I got better at making beats, then I started, trying to sell those beats or give away some beats to make some collab happen with artists from the States and all that, man. So yeah, been working, man, like crazy.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. And just trying to get the name out there and just work with as many artists as you possibly can. Now with
Yep.
Mixtape Addict right there, I know obviously in this day and age, in 2023, the mixtape isn't, it isn't what it used to be, but what are some things that you're doing with Mixtape Addict now that still gives it that relevancy and that newness to it? What's some things you've been doing with that?
Yeah, we still apply, the old fashioned way of doing mixtapes,
For sure. Yeah.
Now in Mixtape Addict, we got, several people, not only me, but also, Young Amsterdam, DJ Mix in France, Short Sam, so we're a whole team. And when we do mixtapes, we like to, get some really exclusive shit or something that you never heard anywhere. Take some movie parts, include that, different sound, how it sounds, man. The whole mixtape style, bro. So we try to keep it that way, and we try to avoid also all the mixtape websites and all that because we've been using that shit for a while. Like I told you, I've been doing it. We've seen the Dead Piff, the live mixtapes, the Dead Crack, the whatever mixtape site. And now the industry is on some bullshit. So you can't really drop a mixtapes on those platforms unless you're going to get flagged, for copyright.
Yeah.
So we do everything ourselves. I put everything on my website, direct download. So I don't have any problems with any labels or anything. Artists just send me the music themselves, so I do everything myself, man. The whole fashion way.
Yeah, and when you have your website, it gives you that creative freedom. You can do whatever you want. I think a lot of times people don't realize they're playing to the rules of the distribution platforms. Like, and then beyond just that Piff, even stuff like Spotify and Apple, you gotta go through all these loops and make the audio sound different if you wanted to upload a remix. I've seen what people do just to upload a remix of a song to all streaming platforms,
That's what I don't like about streaming platforms, is that you're not really free to do whatever you want, That's what I don't like. And one thing I also don't like about that is that, remember when that Piff and like mixtapes and all that was popping, the labels came to us sending us threat letters, telling us DJs that if we keep doing that, dropping mixtapes for free, we'll have problems with the law and go to court, So what they did is they shut down everything. Like I told you, now you cannot upload something or you're going to get flagged.
Yeah.
So what they did is they created that whole streaming shit. The mixtape DJs was killing it online, man. There were millions of streams and labels wasn't seeing any of that money. They got mad. They created another system that looks like the mixtape website, playlists, and the sound blend into each other, just like a mixtape, man. I'm kind of mad at the streaming platforms. I ain't gonna lie.
No, and I think, and I think, with the way the industry has gone, people have just accepted what's happened. And it's like Spotify, Apple Music. It's like, and it's almost come to a point where I feel like as an artist, I feel like they don't feel that if they can't get on a Spotify or an Apple, how are people going to take them as legit, And, and it's almost come to a point where I feel like as an artist, I feel like they don't feel that if they can't get on a Spotify or an Apple, how are people going to take them as legit, And, I've seen how sometimes people try to be creative with like, hey, like you can only get my music on my website right here, and if you really support me, go and do that. But some artists and some producers don't want to take that leap. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, because they're not built for that. You know, you got to be built for that, man. That's it. You got to have the right mindset. You got to be strong and be ready to be an entrepreneur. You know,
Yeah,
that's
yeah. I think it definitely scares some artists and producers to just go, hey, you really like me, you really like what I put out, boom, go to this, listen from here, like, you know, do what you got to do to make this easier. But if you want this music, it's on this website. And I think you know, I've never seen an artist or producer take that leap that I've talked to or know other than you, man. You know, so I think it's something more artists should consider and think about, because you know, how long can we do the streaming and the streaming platforms and just go through these, you know, platforms like, you know, DistroKid and, you know, United Masters. You know, what's you know what are we gonna do as artists to make money off of MP3 and waves? You know,
man. You gotta be smart. You know, you gotta do the right moves, man. That's it. It's I think you gotta think like gaining one fan every day. You know, in this kind of mindset. You understand?
yeah,
So it don't matter if the fan comes from Spotify or comes from YouTube or comes from whatever the fuck, you know. It's the same human being behind the phone, behind the screen. So it don't matter where you catch the fish, you know, as long as
yeah,
you catch. That's what I'm
exactly,
doing, man. And at the same time, you cannot really expect people to respect that way of thinking without putting the footwork, you know. That's why I work a lot. You know, people see the work, they see the names that I work with,
yeah,
they respect that. And that's that feeling of respect that gave them the time to go on my website and check out the stuff that I do. You know, I don't pretend to do like millions of streams or whatever, but you know, I'm able to live with my music right now. So, you know,
yeah.
building a day at a time, man.
Yeah, and I mean, when it comes to the numbers, people would rather perception than actual reach. You know what I mean? That's a whole nother rabbit hole there. You know what I
Let
mean?
me tell you something. You see every day, not every day, every year, my bad. Every year you see people dropping their Spotify statistics online.
Yeah,
Oh, I got this amount of streams. To be honest with you, let's compare bank accounts though. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Based
Yeah.
off the music, I'm telling, just compare the, you know, revenue from the music. Oh, that's cool. You're making a lot of streams and all that. But are you living off your music? Are you making money? That's the question, bro.
I think some people would rather a million streams than like than $10,000 from their music. Because you're not gonna get $10,000 from a million streams. You know what I'm trying to say? Yeah.
If you're a hustler, you get that 10,000 and you turn it into 30, 40,000, you know, something
Yeah.
like that, man.
Yeah, and I'm just saying 10,000 as a small, I guess like a small reach. You know, I could have said a bigger number, but like people really would rather just say I have this many streams. It's a very interesting dynamic that we have amongst artists nowadays. You know, perception is
Yeah.
rules. Yeah, so
Yeah, I mean, that's cool if that makes them feel good, you know, if that makes them feel good, that's all right, but they got to think about their future.
hmm
You
yeah, I always think about wait, what's up?
know, they got to think about, you know, the other things too, like merchandising, doing shows, you know, all those things. Can't focus on just making streams online. That's cool, but you know,
Yeah, there's more to it. There's more to it. Yeah, I
yeah,
always.
yeah.
hmm
You know, we got a famous MC in France. His name is Furax, Furax.
hmm
He built his name of doing shows, even like small venues all over France and all over Europe. Even like 50 people show, you know what I'm saying?
Wow.
But doing a lot of time every week for years and years. And now, you know, he's big, bro. He just built it, you know, like he built a house, you feel me? One day at a time.
hmm
You gotta be patient.
Yeah, yeah, patience and you know just building that grassroots startup, man. You know, I and you know back to your point with just making money off music. I always think of Nipsey Hussle, rest in
Oh,
peace,
hell
when, with the $1,000 mixtape. You know, when he sold it, like that right there, like that, like that's
yeah,
the
man.
mindset more artists should be in. You know, and but it, you know, it's
I was studying Nipsey Hussle. He was dropping like 2 hours long interviews, bro. I was listening to every single second, bro.
damn,
Learning. Feel
yeah,
me?
yeah, that dude had knowledge,
So
and
that's what I'm trying to do. You know, I'm trying to keep that legacy alive. You see what Nipsey was trying to do?
Mm-hmm.
Keep everything in house. Do
Yeah.
everything yourself. Not depend on some other fucking guy. You know, just do it. You and your team.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to do the same, man. That's it.
Yeah, and it's definitely showing, man. And obviously, you've been you interviewing and you got all that stuff going on there, man. And I definitely want to ask you, just in your opinion, you definitely been interviewing for some time now, and getting a lot of big guests on on your platforms. I just want to ask you more of a general question. What do you feel about the podcast scene in 2023? I feel like there's a lot of people stepping into it that are brand new. And, with someone like you who's been doing it for as long as you have, what do you feel about like just people just stepping into the scene and like the whole boom of it? What's your general consensus on that?
I mean, I respect the hustle. You know, I understand why so many people want to get into it. You know, but you gotta be passionate about it and have something different. It's cool, you know. Nowadays, everybody can make a podcast, so okay. But what makes you different? You know, that's that difference that's gonna make people like you. You know, I think
Yeah.
it's cool. Everybody can do a podcast. You know, I'm not mad at that. But as long as you have a concept, you know, something different,
Yeah.
like like I'm doing with Mixtape Addict. You know, I always ask the first question is who's your all-time favorite DJ? That's my trademark. You know, so I include bits of DJ scratching and shit like that. You know, that's the little difference. You know, that you see in my podcast. You know, to take an example of what I'm doing.
Yeah. 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 And how long have you been running your podcast for?
I started doing interviews, like face-to-face interviews, in 2019.
Oh, okay.
Before that, I was doing like audio interviews on radio and Audio Mac. You know, I was doing like live interviews on online radio. But the real videos, face-to-face, Mixtape Addict, official shit, 2019.
Got you.
So we started with French rappers. Actually, we started with big names right away. You know, because I've been doing mixtapes, like I told you. You know, making beats and all that. So I was able to get credible guys. You know, to start with the first episode, and then
Yeah.
we traveled to Paris, south of France. You know, everywhere on the west side of France too. And then I got the chance to travel to New York. So I did Vinny Idol in New York, Napoleon the Legend. Then I went to Montreal, you know, did a couple of interviews out there too. Then COVID hit,
Mm.
but we still made it big in 2020. You know, we had really big names. I think I got the opportunity because of that. I ain't gonna lie, man. You know, everybody was locked up in their house. And I was like, fuck this shit. We're gonna still move around and make interviews. We cannot wait for anything. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we traveled around, did our thing, you know. We
Yeah.
got some famous legends during this year, then we kept on going. And you see 2023 started with a bang, you know, we got Kujo Goody from Goody Mob,
Yeah.
Master Tyson, Marco Polo, you know, so we
No,
hear man, it's just the passion, you know, and I cannot stop that because I like it too much, you know.
yeah, yeah, and it's clear to show, man. And you're trying to just get the best interviews you can, trying to stand out, and it definitely shows. But when it comes to putting together the DJing and producing and podcasting, it's you're juggling three big mediums at once. What are some things that you do to help with your overall just balancing all these things? Because you could do one of these things and be fine, but you got three big things you're working on here. So what's some ways that you kind of manage that to maneuver better?
I'll try to have discipline, you know. And let's say if I have beats to do or something really that's into music, like tracking out files, some shit like that. I'll take a special day, like say I'm going to do it on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Then the next day I'm not going to do the same thing. I want to work on merchandising, logos, whatever the fuck. And the next day I'm going to do something different. Then come back to the music, and I'm trying to cutting my week in a few half.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
yeah.
trying to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that discipline. I love that. It's the first thing you said about it. I mean, you got to hold yourself accountable. The
Yeah,
work,
man.
the work will not get done by itself. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Gotta do it, man. That's how I gotta treat it like a job. You
Mm-hmm.
know, Because I was, sometimes, by myself, trying to think of a plan, and I said, let's stop being lazy and treat this shit like a job. You wake up, do your thing, and like I told you, you give a day a different subject, work on music on Monday, work on paperwork the other day, work on graphics, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about, organizing your days. And it takes patience, it's not easy to do that, man. It took me years to do that. Because you know how it is, man. If you got homies, if you want to hang out with the homies, go out in clubs and shit. But you got to tell yourself, now, man, can I do that? I got work to do. Sometimes your people won't really understand, but you got to focus, keep working.
Yeah. When you got that mission, you just have to stay on that path, and other people will be like, man, what's he doing not going now? He's just staying at the crib, all this, all that. But as long as you understand in yourself like why you're doing what you're doing, I mean, that's it. And sometimes, you gotta just grow up and look at it and just and see like the bigger picture. So I totally agree with you there, man. I with all that you got going on though, man, what's some things that we can expect from you going forward in the future, in terms of just DJing, producing, podcasting? What's some stuff that you want to preview for the people?
First of all, I'm going to New York in a month, and I'll stay in New York for 4 weeks.
Oh, okay.
Maybe more, if maybe more depending on what I do.
Yeah.
So I'm planning on doing like a documentary to talk about what I told you before. The first time when I went to New York when I was 18, link up with those people, how I built Mixtape Addict and all that. So we all have a camera guy following us around. We work on that, get a documentary going at the same time, doing more interviews in New York, producing stuff, dropping more videos, more music. It never stops, man. You never see a week without new Mixtape Addict content.
Yeah.
Whether it's an interview, it's a new song, it's a new video, always something, man. So, stay tuned. Just keep watching the website, the newsletter. That's really important right there. Subscribe to the newsletter.
Hell yeah.
And the YouTube channel, I want to say that to the people that's watching.
Yeah.
You gotta have a newsletter, man. That's fucking important right there.
Yeah.
Everyone should have a newsletter because that's the. Let me tell you something. Everybody has a phone. Everybody has an email address, right? 99% of people on this planet have an email address. But some of those people, they don't have a Facebook or Instagram or a Snapchat or whatever. But everybody got an email address. So that's the best way to reach out to people. They get the notification on the phone. Whenever you got some new shit dropping, boom, they see it. And if they fuck with you, they'll open it, click on the link, reply, Yeah. That's really cool. Everybody that's watching, get a newsletter. You got to pay for it, I know, but it's an investment and it's worth it.
Yeah, that's such a hack, man. And like, if you just have people like subscribe to you, there's always something you can just work on that, send it out, and like they'll get direct access to it. They might not check their social media as in depth as I do, but their email is something right there for them. And a lot of people really do need to check their emails. So it's it's funny. I think some people might look at that and be like, well, I just have social media, but it's like, well, why not maximize your options here? Use the email, like use whatever you can. It's email still.
Whatever, man.
Yeah, whatever it takes, like whatever you can do to get your name out there. Yeah, that's definitely great advice, man. In terms of the producers, man, because that right there is definitely a gem for the people, man. And I know you've had a lot of great advice for anyone who's in this game and making music. You've definitely said some good stuff. But I guess for the producers, what's some advice you give to any of those who are making beats starting out? What's some advice you'd give to them?
I'd say, the same advice that a lot of people say is just stay true to yourself. Don't try to copy. I know it's hard to not copy a producer, but it's going to take years, it's going to take years to get your own style, your own ambience, but yeah, got to work on it, man. And don't copy anybody. Just try to do you. And be confident, I think, also. Be confident about what you have in your head. And if you feel like, playing this melody, don't be afraid to play it. Try and see how it sounds. And if you don't sound good, maybe you can come back to it later. Stay positive, confident, and don't be afraid to do what's in your head.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I love it, man. No, it's definitely, it's stuff that people have said before, man. But I think it's to be reiterated and let it be known from someone like you who's actually doing it. It goes a long way, man. It really does. And I think in this day and age, more people need to hear these things more and more. It's
Thank you. Yeah.
yeah, for sure, man. Ladies and
Mhm.
gentlemen, DJ Kingfo in the Zoom building, man. I really appreciate your time, man. This has been a really dope episode. You've had a lot of, great things to say and just, filling in the people with everything you got going on and everything, with the French scene too. I'm glad you got to break that down as well, man.
Sure.
Is there anything you want to plug for the people, where they can reach you at before we wrap this one up?
For sure, yo. Make sure you go, follow me on Instagram, DJ Kingflow, Twitter, DJ Kingflow, Facebook, same thing, Mixtape Addict. Google the name Mixtape Addict, you'll see us. We everywhere. And yeah, thanks everybody, and thank you, man, for the invitation. I appreciate it. It's cool to be on the other side sometimes too.
Yeah, no, I could imagine, man. Yeah, no, I could definitely see how that would be, man. So yeah, but we're glad we did this one, man. For real, for real.
Mhm.
Hell
Thank you,
yeah.
my man. Thank you.
No problem. Ladies and gentlemen, that is another episode of the TempahZone podcast. Make sure you tune in next week for another episode. All right. Peace
Yes,
out.
sir. Peace.